Father Daniel took over St. Joseph's Church in late autumn, when frost clung to the stained glass windows and the pews reeked of damp rot. The air inside was heavy, sharp with mildew, as if the church itself exhaled decay. He was 42, devout, and quietly relieved by the transfer. His last parish had soured. Whispers, accusations, that mess with the youth group. Unfounded, he told himself, but loud enough to stick, like wet paper on a cold wall. They said he got too close to one of the girls. Her parents pulled her from the program. Then came the meetings, the quiet questions, the long leave of absence. No charges, just silence and a reassignment. The archdiocese sent him to Barrow Glen, a mining village crumbling into oblivion, where the congregation wouldn't ask questions. St. Joseph's was silent. Too silent. 9 regulars, all over 70, shuffled in for Sunday Mass. The altar candle flickered, reluctant to burn. The bell, rusted mute, hadn't rung in years. The confessional booth, tucked left of St. Jude's statue, sat unused, its door warped, screen cracked, velvet curtain fraying like torn skin. Daniel accepted the quiet. A cold church was still a church. He could pray, reflect, disappear. Until the booth began to breathe. On his 3rd Sunday, while sweeping cobwebs from the organ pipes, he heard 3 soft knocks from inside the confessional. He froze. Broom, midair. The church was empty. Service had ended an hour ago. The widows were gone, trailing perfume and creaking joints. Another knock. The light above the booth glowed faintly, though he hadn't turned it on. He approached, collar tight against his throat. The air grew colder, carrying a faint metallic tang, like blood. He asked if someone was there, if they needed confession. Silence. He drew the curtain aside. Empty. No coat, no shadow, no scent. But the dust on the screen had been disturbed. 2 handprints, flat against the wood, as if someone had leaned in to speak. He told himself it was nothing, a draft, a squirrel, a trick of light. But that night in the rectory, he found an old Polaroid in a drawer, a youth group photo from his last parish. One girl's face, scratched out. He shoved it back, heart thudding, and tried to pray. The next night, the voice came. Midnight. Rain clawed the windows. Daniel sat in the rectory, a cold teacup beside him, reading by a dying fire. The air was too still, as if the church were holding its breath. A whisper reached him. Soft. Male. Asking forgiveness. It came from the booth. He crossed the vestibule. The doors were still locked, yet the booth's light glowed, casting warped shadows across the saints in stained glass. Their colors bled red onto the floor. He stepped into the priest's side. The smell of ash hung in the air. The wood creaked beneath him. Slow, like breathing. He gripped his rosary. Waited. The screen rippled faintly. The voice admitted it had been 30 years. And then came the confession. A body, buried under the floor. A girl. 15. Daniel asked who, where, why. The answers came slowly, cruelly. The voice said he walked past it every day. Then silence. The light blinked out. He didn't sleep. The rosary left cross-shaped welts in his palm. In town the next day, he asked around carefully. Had anyone come by? A stranger? A young man? Barrow Glen offered only shrugs. The pub was boarded. The post office long gone. The police station. Just old Tom in a recliner. No pranksters, no visitors. He searched parish records. Found a clipping from 1983. Clara Edivane, 15, vanished on the hilltop path. Her body never found. St. Joseph's sat on that path. Behind a leaning tool shed, he found a well, bricked over, the stones slick with moss. Inside, he checked the church floor. Solid, no loose boards. But the confessional felt colder with each passing day. Its grain twisted into unnatural spirals. 5 nights later, he returned to the booth. 10 p.m., notebook in hand, recorder under his coat. At 1:13 a.m., the light snapped on. A shadow waited on the other side. He spoke calmly, told the presence it could confess, that its soul was safe. This time, the voice was younger. It said the body was in the well. He asked whose. No answer. He asked where. The voice told him he already knew. The shadow moved. A girl's face flickered across the screen, then vanished. He dove deeper into the records. A line buried in a 1920s ledger. Father Elias had left abruptly. "Disturbances in the box," it read. Another note, scrawled in ink. "The booth holds the cries of the damned, wood from the old gallows." A third confession followed. By now, Daniel slept in the booth. The pews creaked at night. The bell hummed faintly, though its rope was gone. He waited. The voice said the baby never cried. It hadn't known she was pregnant. No one had. Except the teacher. Daniel fled the booth that night, past the chapel gate, into the field. He dug where the apple tree once stood, where the earth seemed soft. Nothing. He stopped eating. His cassock hung loose. The confessions kept coming, darker, sharper. A woman who poisoned her family. Laughing. A man who ran down a child near mile marker 12. Daniel reported it. Police found bones. His faith began to splinter. He called the archdiocese. They offered rest, counseling, a quiet end. They told him he was imagining things. He refused to leave. Someone had to listen. Someone had to absolve. Even if the voices weren't real, the sins were. Then the booth changed. It called him by name. The voices were layered now, overlapping, mocking. They asked about Boston, about the girl. They said she cried. They said he told her to keep it secret, that the counseling was special, just between them. They said she stopped smiling. Faces flickered on the screen. Clara, the family, the child, a girl with hollow eyes and bitten nails. They demanded he speak. He shouted that he had nothing to confess. The booth shook, light shattered, smoke poured from the cracks, the stained glass cracked, the saints bled. The floor trembled like something deep below had stirred. He ran, 5 miles, slept on a bench in town. 2 days later, he returned. The booth was waiting, door open, light burning. On the priest's seat, an envelope, old paper, black ink, his own handwriting. It told him it was his turn. He sat. The screen showed faces, Clara, the girl, his own. And then it spoke. The confession came from him. The door slammed. The light did not fade.